This is WICR.
Hello everyone, Jersey Joe and Joe D back in studio, and it's time to talk the UEFA Champions League. For me, as a new soccer fan, while I was finding out about it, there was really nothing that got me more excited than watching this. So Joe D, be a salesman for a minute, alright? If you had to sell somebody on what the UEFA Champions League meant, just the pure excitement, why they should watch, what's your pitch?
Whew. Put me on the spot.
Yeah,
Jersey.
a little bit.
Put me on the spot. Well,
spot.
We see every 4 years the World Cup, right?
Yes.
All right. How many non-soccer fans just get attached to the World Cup?
Yeah.
I mean, it's phenomenal, right?
It is.
So now imagine a tournament every single season that features the best club teams in Europe, and there's no wait. The wait is the following season.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest pitch, and you get a chance to watch the top teams in Europe just go head to head. And you'll see in the early stages you might see a few I can't say terrible teams, but lower tier teams playing. But I mean, you get to this round of 16 and you have a matchup like PSG and Chelsea.
Oh my goodness, which we will get to in a minute.
I mean, it's like a championship game. Some of these matchups are very similar to championship caliber games. And even though it's just the round of 16, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, the talent is phenomenal.
I cannot agree with you more. I mean, just the pure excitement you get from these matchups. I mean, like you just said, PSG and Chelsea. Next week we will have Manchester City and Barcelona. There's so much talent on the field. I mean, you can't even describe it.
It's almost like an all-star game.
It basically is an all-star game, yeah.
If you think about it, the amount of talent on both sides, and this week with PSG and Chelsea, you could put a starting 11 of just all-stars. I mean, literally on both sides, it's an all-stars. It's unbelievable, and that's a great thing about Champions League here, is even in the World Cup, you have the best players representing that nation. Here, these players are the top players across the country, across the world.
No doubt. Now, we are currently in the round of 16, so we had our earlier rounds. But, Jody, a lot of time has passed since we last visited the Champions League. Do you think any of the clubs are going to kind of have a momentum shift, such as Real Madrid, like we just talked about? Do you think any of the big clubs are in trouble here because of the momentum shift in their individual leagues?
I don't think so. When it comes to Champions League, it comes to the big lights. They're ready to go. I think Real Madrid will have who are they?
Schalke 04.
Yeah, I mean.
What is a Schalke 04?
What is a Schalke 04? Well, Schalke, I think, is how it's pronounced. They're in the German league, the Bundesliga.
Very good.
You learn something every day.
That's what it is, and that's the thing for me for soccer. I learn from the master over here every day.
Oh, the master! Come on, enough of this.
Magisterial. That's all I have to say.
All right, that's better. I'll accept that. But we see even similar. Bayern Munich will be taking on Shakhtar this week. This coming week. I don't think it really it'll affect these teams. When it comes to it, they'll be ready to play, and and it's going to be exciting. I really don't see an upset coming anywhere. The thing with Chelsea, and it was actually pretty funny, is that they're no longer in the FA Cup, and you may be saying like, oh, what does this have anything to do with Champions League? Well, Samir Nasri of Manchester City talked a little smack to Chelsea, saying, he's a big fan of Mourinho, but he doesn't think they're that special. And then you had PSG's owner, I think Laurent Blanc, I think is the owner or manager. I'm not 100% sure. I apologize for that. But coming out and saying, Mourinho's a genius. And you know why he's a genius? Because they lost the FA Cup, so now they have extra time to prepare for us. And if you think about it, Chelsea won't be playing this weekend in the FA Cup along with the other teams because they're out. So that's extra time to rest and prepare for PSG.
And let's be honest, the UEFA Champions League trophy is a little bit more important than the FA Cup.
I've been telling all soccer fans, all my friends who ask, how important is this Champions League? The Champions League Cup is probably the most important cup next to the World Cup.
The World Cup.
Absolutely. I mean, forget about the cash prize that you win. It's just being crowned the king of Europe. And not, well, obviously only one team could say that at the end of Champions League, but it's an extraordinary honor just because of the teams that are in it.
I just can't wait. I mean, there's nothing more exciting. But let's get into this matchup than we just mentioned it a couple times. PSG, Paris Saint-Germain against Chelsea. Chelsea currently the number 1 team in the English Premier League. And PSG is the 3rd place team in Ligue 1, which is France. And they're not behind that much. I mean, I believe they're only behind 2 or 3 points. But it seems like we kind of come to the understanding, Jody, the French Ligue 1 is not one of the more premier leagues out of everyone else. It's one of the lower ones. Are we a little worried here for PSG against Chelsea, who, for all intents and purposes, is one of the best clubs in the world right now?
I think the main concern for PSG and PSG supporters, etc., is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Which Zlatan will we see? Will we see one of the best strikers in the world? Or will we see the aging Zlatan? Who's stepping away from the game, and that'll be the main concern. Can he be effective? Can he be that world-renowned player that he used to be? Can he step up and give PSG the early lead? Can he create? That's what you'll definitely have to keep your eye out for. And another thing is, Lavezzi, another attacking option for PSG who hasn't had the best season. And it's you're waiting here to see, will he take off or will he continue to slump? So that'll definitely be very, very interesting.
I completely agree. I mean, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is the key here. I mean, one of the best, most lethal strikers there is right now in the world. He's so important to that team right now. But I mean, Chelsea, they're so good tactically. I mean, and that's one of the things we see from them sometimes is maybe sometimes to a fault they're so defensive. But I just can't see legitimately that PSG is going to get a lot of good opportunities against Chelsea. They're just so good sound. I really think I like Chelsea here. I'm guessing you might like Chelsea here too.
Yeah, I do like Chelsea, and it's actually interesting. Former Chelsea defender David Luiz, who now plays for PSG, came out and said, he claims that this may be the best Chelsea team that he's ever seen.
Wow. And
this is coming from the opponent, so, I mean, they're definitely going to have their hands full come next week.
Let's sidetrack for a minute. David Luiz, now, let's be honest here. The guy looks like Sideshow Bob. I mean, every time I watch PSG and I see him, I'm like, that's Sideshow Bob. Am I wrong?
Guy needs a haircut.
Guy definitely needs a haircut.
The guy needs a haircut.
He really needs a haircut.
I mean, but I'll tell you that. Forget about the hair. We step away from the hair. Him and Thiago Silva in the middle. I mean, that's a potent duo right there in the middle.
I love it. I mean, if you're gonna watch a team in Ligue 1, which I do on beIN, it's PSG. I mean, that's really the only. Club.
That's the. If any other club's playing, unfortunately, I'm not tuning in. But if it's PSG, I'll take the time and I'll watch and see what they got. But like I said, I mentioned PSG's back top 2 in the middle of Thiago Silva and David Luiz, but at the same time, Chelsea's 2 in the middle in that back 4 line is phenomenal. And Terry and their newest addition, the 20-year-old French defender, who we had a little trouble pronouncing his name before, huh, Drew?
We did have a lot of trouble pronouncing his name, and I'm going to try it now.
How would you pronounce it?
All right, you tell me how you would first.
Why do I have to go first? I asked you first.
I can't.
I'll tell you what. I could pronounce his first name, Kurt. Right. Now you go for his last name.
I don't even remember what it was.
I believe it's Zwoma.
Well, then let's say Zwoma.
I believe so. Kurt, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll
get it right.
We'll get it right.
Maybe you could call in next week. And
we do have a phone line, so if you did want to call in, it's possible.
Dial us up, Kurt, and we'll get you on, and we'll fix things. No worries.
Well, good luck to all teams participating. When we're back, I gotta be honest. I've been thinking about it for weeks. I gotta avoid all. I mean, and what's the deal with the times here, Jody, of these games? I mean, I'm in class. I'm at WFAS for my internship. They make it difficult for me to try to avoid, and I try to avoid human contact so no one spoils these results for me.
It's impossible to avoid it.
It almost is.
It's it's so difficult to say I can't watch it now. I'll watch it later and I'll pretend like I don't know the score. Impossible. You know, you're gonna get you're gonna forget to take off the alerts on your phone, and then you're gonna be like, oh great, now I know the final score. You're gonna bump into someone who has no idea that you haven't watched the game. Hey, did you see that 3-0 victory? Wow, that was impressive. So
nothing better.
You know, I'll give you a little piece of advice. You bring your laptop to class. You turn on, you log on to BN Sports. You can follow the stream there. Even though the Champions League games aren't on BN,
Fox Sports,
but Fox Sports, you could stream them live all the time. I'll tell you that may be the way to go. Maybe even pull it up on your phone. You could always do that too.
You know what? I might have to, because you can't miss this stuff. It's just golden opportunities to watch some of the best sporting we have in the world. Cannot wait. But 3 solid segments today, Joe D. At the end of the day, I like where we're going. I think we've got something going good here.
Hey, ton of potential here. Ton of potential.
It's all about potential, folks. What a great weekend we have coming up. This next week is going to be exciting. The week after that, we will be back breaking down everything that happened. The UEFA Champions League, we've got to reserve our spots right here because Manchester City and FC Barcelona is coming. But, Joe D, you give us the final word before we send off.
All right, so I'll give you a final prediction in the first game in that Champions League of PSG-Chelsea. I'm going to say Chelsea wins that first game 2-1. We'll have a goal from Hazard, and Didier Drogba will come off the bench and score.
I like it. Eden Hazard, my man, I think he scores as well. I'm going to go with 2-0. I just don't know. I have a bad feeling about PSG, but I would go with Joe D here. He is probably right.
Again, oh my goodness.
Magisterial, and that is how we send it off. Jersey Joe and Joe D. We've got a name in the works. Not official yet, but we should have it by the next time around, shouldn't we?
I would say so. I mean, I would hope so. I would hope so. And we have a few more things that'll be joining this program, a few different elements that will get involved, and it'll be a lot of fun.
I like it. Well, thank you, Joe D. It was phenomenal time right now. Everyone, thank you for checking us out, and we will be back at a later time.